Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I do appreciate it. I just wanted to talk a little bit about kind of how we distribute, make decisions, antibiotic decisions, and how the process works at Smithfield. And I still like the word judicious because we use the word responsibility a lot in my company, but it's all really about building consumer confidence. So as mentioned, I'm a staff veterinarian for Smithfield. October 1st, I started my 22nd year with them. And our primary responsibilities are certainly to care for the health and well-being of animals in our care, and also to provide a safe and wholesome product to our consumers. My eyes aren't working too well. So these two responsibilities, they really aren't in conflict. They don't have to be. I think it would be unethical to not provide treatment for sick animals. I would really struggle with that. That's why I became a veterinarian in the first place, is a love for animals. So we want to take good care of them, but we understood also decades ago that if we did not use products responsibly, we would lose that privilege. So we wanted to build our consumer confidence and keep the antibiotics that we had available. So way back as early as like 2000, any product that goes in, on, or near a Smithfield hog has got to be approved by a licensed veterinarian. So we have company farms. We also have, my actual division has like 85% are contract farms. But they have the land, they have the facilities, they provide the labor, we provide the feed, the medication, vet services, and we own the animals. But they understand that they don't bring something in and expose it to our hogs without talking to us first. Something as simple as marking paint. It's got to be an edible paint, so it's got to be approved by a veterinarian. It comes through our supply warehouse. We have a written prescription process from a licensed veterinarian. It is assigned to a specific lot of animals, so we do have full traceability when we get those animals to the market. And they have to be administered according to the veterinarian's instructions, and that's also must be documented. So the prescriptions are required. Way back in 1996, we have a buying co-op. It's called A Provision. I had to write a prescription to them to get products out of that buying co-op. That has progressed to prescription for each individual farm. And the computerized systems today make it so much easier. So the farm has to have a prescription to get the product. Each item is charged to a specific lot or group of animals. There's also, we keep track of what each group cost. So we know everything that has been charged to that. They have to be used at that site, but like for example, if we had a bottle of Draxxin and we didn't completely use it, it can be moved to the next barn on the farm. Doesn't leave the farm for biosecurity purposes, but may go to another barn on the farm, but that too is documented on the door chart. Whenever somebody treats a pig, it's got to be documented. So here's just an example of a prescription. Farms described under the veterinary supervision have permission to use the following product for the condition indicated at the recommended dosages, and the dosage and withdrawal period are to be strictly adhered to, and there'll be a list of products that talk the product, the active ingredient, the condition that we're going to use it for, how to dose it, the treatment time, and the withdrawal period. And we are very strict about ensuring that people stick to our guidelines. The veterinarians work together to produce a medication treatment chart. We review this at least quarterly, sometimes more often if something changes and there's new information available. It's going to list all the dewormers, oral, injectable, topicals, insecticides, anti-inflammatory, reproductive, just anything that can go in or on a hog. And we list the product name, the dosage, how do you mix that product, what are the key indications, and withdrawal time. So all these are, FDA guidelines and our basic pork quality assurance principles and guidelines that we follow. All medications are in the medication treatment chart are used strictly according to the veterinarian's instructions, And because we market hogs all around the world, quite often the only thing when I'm giving my PQA plus classes to my caregivers, I say the only thing that's probably going to differ from our medication treatment chart and the label is probably the withdrawal period, because we have to look at what Japan or China or Russia, what their requirements are, and whoever's the longest, that's what we end up taking, because we are not certain where that pork's going to end up. So they're often extended. Only products with animal labels. There are some, medically important for human. We don't even have them in our warehouse. And no human labeled products are used in our system. Now, does this put us at a competitive disadvantage? Yeah, maybe. It might. There are some other places who probably feel more comfortable in doing things like this, but we're Smithfield. We're big. We're a very big target, and our reputation is extremely important to us. So we won't take any risk. The documentation of use. Caregiver, it's their responsibility to document all the water-soluble and injectable antibiotics and any vaccines when they administer them. And those records are retained for 3 years. That's North Carolina law requires 3 years. And there's lots of verification. Whether it's company or contract, there are constantly people going in and monitoring. Each farm has a production specialist that's going to visit them depending on the farm. Sometimes every other week if the pigs are sick, 3 days in a row if the pigs are sick, every other week, at least once a month. They're required to be in there at least once a month. They have veterinary visits. We do participate in PQA plus site assessments. The common swine industry audit, we have 10 internal auditors on staff, so every company farm is audited at least once a year, and they have expanded that to contract farms as well. We also bring in third-party auditors to audit our farms. Smithfield has a process verification program, so I'm with them about 2 weeks out of the year, randomly selecting farms to do an audit on. And then we do have, for our company employees, there's a certification program. So in order for them to advance from, employee to a head of department to a farm manager, they have to go through a certification program and prove that they have obtained these skills. And that is tied to their pay as well as their promotion opportunities. This is just an example. This is a breeding, gestation, farrowing treatment sheet. And again, all these items that are up here are required by law, that we identify the product and the route of administration, the dosage, the duration of treatment, initials for who administered. The only thing that is not required is the outcome column. We like that column because we like to be able to look back and say, okay, we use this product and X% of the time there was improvement. Piglet treatment as well. They're all recorded. And then this is a typical grow finish, either nursery finishing or wean to finish barn, but there's a column for any water medications, and there's also for injectable antibiotics when they do spot treating. Again, the date they administered, the product, the dosage, how many days it was given, the withdrawal period, and then we ask someone to initial, and they're held accountable and are responsible. The veterinary feed directives, our staff veterinarians have always worked with the nutritionist. The vets have been responsible in our system for feed grade antimicrobials. We work with the nutritionist, but the vets have always been able to override them, and we get final say as to any feed grades that we use. We had quarterly reviews for at least 2 decades now. We have the computer system since the VFDs became available, and we started that about a year in advance just to make certain we had all the kinks worked out of the system, because if there's a computer glitch and you cannot get access to the veterinary feed directive, the hogs can't get the feed, which unfortunately when Hurricane Florence hit, the whole computer system for everybody in the United States was located in Rose Hill, North Carolina, that the entire power grid was wiped out. So everybody was back to manually distributing feed until the system, even in Missouri and in Utah, until we got the system back up and running. And no medicated feed went anywhere. Teaching and training. We certainly spend a tremendous amount of our time is spent teaching and training people on sick pig identification and early recognition, early intervention. That's really important that we manage the environment right to try to prevent disease in the first place, the ventilation, the pigs are warm, dry, draft free, but finding those pigs early and taking action. Disease identification and sample collection. Our production specialist, I have 35 that report to me, and they all know how to do oral fluids and collect processing fluids and fecal or nasal swabs, collect blood samples, tissue samples. Some are really good at it. Some I would put up against most veterinarians. Some are not so good at it. Those are the ones who always call me all the time. But we send a tremendous amount of diagnostics samples off each year, so that it will help us to make more informed decisions. We'll look at antibiotic sensitivity and make certain that we are selecting wisely. We PQA Plus train, Pork Quality Assurance Program that Liz talked about earlier, and again our employee certification program. So once again, I think it's very important that we tell you what we're going to do, but we also make certain we're doing what we tell you. So we spent a lot of time auditing and verifying, and again, the production specialists, the veterinarians, the site assessments, our internal and external auditors, our process verification auditors. We do spend quite a bit of time auditing. Antibiotic-free, we do have some antibiotic-free pigs. We had some in my area for a while. I really didn't like them being there. We are large enough. What's nice about Smithfield, they're large enough that we can pick and choose which farms are going to be in the antibiotic-free program. So we picked high health farms in really low dense areas. And the particular farm I had, it was doing pretty good, but there was still a lot of pigs in the neighborhood. But low dense areas, we like to put our best managers there, so that we have less likely the pig's getting sick. If the pig needs to receive treatment, it just gets a button tag in each ear. And then when that pig, it comes time to market it, we load the non-tag pigs on one truck as antibiotic free and the tag pigs on the other. So all the treatments are going to be injectable. And if that, for example, that sow farm happened to have a PRRS break, we'll pull them off antibiotic free and we'll move the program somewhere else. So that kind of gets us I feel the best of both worlds, I feel bad if the pigs are sick. I want to do something for them. I also understand the importance of reducing antibiotic use, and if our customers want antibiotic free, we want to be able to provide that. So that's the conclusion of mine. Good food responsibly. I mean, it's really not just a slogan. We're trying really hard to live up to that logo we have there.